Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading video. Now in this video, over the last year or so, I have really been getting into more of a dark romance type genre instead of a contemporary romance or romantasy. Like I've been into the dark romance genre, and so I decided I wanted to ask ChatGPT the 10 most popular dark romance tropes and some books that fall within those tropes. And we're going to discuss my thoughts on the trope and if I've read the books or if I plan on potentially reading the books. So if you would like to see what ChatGPT said was some of the 10 most popular dark romance tropes and my thoughts on them, then go ahead and keep watching. Now I have my iPad here so I could easily refer back to the books and the tropes. Okay, so the first trope that ChatGPT has provided is enemies to lovers. Now I love this trope. This is probably one of my favorite tropes, whether it's dark romance, regular romance, romantasy, whatever the case may be. It is a very, very, very good trope. But I will say, I feel like in dark romance and in romantasy, the enemies to lovers is much more realistic than in just regular contemporary romances, because contemporary romances, your enemy usually isn't that big of an enemy. Like they didn't do anything horrible, they just, you don't like them. But in dark romance, you could have a enemy who, like, your family, so obviously they are your enemy. They did bad things to people that you love. I love enemies to lovers, and I've asked ChatGPT for some books that fall within the enemies to lovers genre, and he has, or she, I haven't named my ChatGPT yet. We have Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, which is in the Devil's Night series. I have read that. That is book 1. It was not my favorite, but it definitely was really good. I did like that one. Vicious by L.J. Shen, which is part of the Sinners of Saints series. I have not read that one. And I don't think I've ever read anything by L.J. Shen, but that might be something that I would be interested in reading. We Fear Me by B.B. Reid, which is Broken Love series. Never even heard of B.B. Reid, so I don't know anything about that. And then you have The Ritual by Shantel Tessier. This doesn't have the series name, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the Lords, and I have read that one. That is book 1 of Lords, and I did like that one. I do want to continue the Lords series, and the same thing with Devil's Night. I've read books 1 and book 2 of Devil's Night, and I think I've read books 1 and 2 of the Lords series, and I do want to continue those. The Devil's Night are on my 25 books to read in 2025. I have the remaining series, and then I'm pretty sure I have the Lords series also in my 25 books to read in 2025, because I want to try to finish up a lot of the series I'm in the middle of this year. So enemies to lovers are definitely books that I will be reading in the future. Then the next trope is Captor, captive trope. I have not read anything about this. I don't have my, actually, let me see. I have it on my Kindle, or on my, I think I've already downloaded it on Kindle actually. Hold on one second. Hold please. I think Larry from Larry Reads had recommended a Captor, captive book and said it was really, really good, and I'm pretty sure I have downloaded it, possibly. Okay, maybe I did not, but there is a book that I did have on my list of books I did want to read. I have not downloaded it yet, but it is a captive captor book, so I don't know how I'm going to like that trope, but ChatGPT did give me 4 books within the captive captor trope. You have Tears of Tess by Pepper Winters, Twist Me by Anna Zaires, Kitty Thomas, Comfort Food. I don't know what that means. Maybe editing me will be able to put that book up on the list or on the screen. And then Stolen by Lucy Christopher, which is it's YA leaning but still intense, is what ChatGPT said. The next trope that I have on my list is Mafia or crime boss romance. I have read some Mafia romances. I haven't really had a lot of Mafia romances that I have read, but it is something that I did enjoy when I did read it. And I do plan on reading more Mafia romances. I know Larry's kind of my go-to when it comes to dark romance, and her mom. And so I get a lot of my suggestions from her. And now Mariana is a new influencer or booktuber that I have been watching, and she really likes Mafia romance. So I do plan on reading more about Mafia romance, but it is definitely something that I did enjoy when I had read it in the past. And ChatGPT had The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle, which is part of the Maid series. I have looked up that series, but I have not read anything on it. But I think that is one of the Mafia romances that I think Mariana recommended, if I'm correct or not. I'm not sure. Don't quote me that she actually said that. But Sweetest Oblivion, Crow by Zavarelli, which is part of the Boston Underworld. Never heard anything about that. When you say Crow, I think of the movie The Crow. I'm pretty sure it's not the same thing, but you have Crow. Nero by Brianne, which is part of the Made Men series. Never heard of that series or that author before, but I do have this list saved in my ChatGPT log, so I will be referring back to that in the future. So maybe you'll see some of these books in future videos. And then Ruthless People by J.J. McAvoy. Never heard of that one either. But again, like I said, I haven't been really dived in very deep into the Mafia romance little book pool. So maybe these are really popular authors and series, but I have no idea. So I will be diving into them at some point. Then we have Forbidden Romance. Now I have read some of these, and I really do like Forbidden Romance. So the books that I have listed here for Forbidden Romance, you have Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I have read that one. That is an age gap. That is also ex-boyfriend's dad. And yeah, that one was good. I really did like Birthday Girl. Then Credence by Penelope Douglas. And I have read that one. I have read several Penelope Douglas books. But in that one, it is a girl who goes to live with her uncle and cousins. Not blood related, but she calls them uncle and cousins. And it's kind of like a why choose type situation. And yeah, the only thing I will say I did not like about that book is I think she refers to the uncle as uncle during one of those times. And I did not like that. It kind of cringed me out. But that was good. Forbidden Romance. It was a good time. Then we have The Wild by Kay Weber. It's ChatGPT says it's very taboo, high on the shock scale. So that will be something I will be diving into in the future because I want to know what is very high on the shock scale. Like, what is that all about? That will be diving very soon into my Kindle Unlimited, hopefully, library. And then Voyeur by Fiona Cole. I've not read anything by Fiona Cole before. I've never heard of this book, but it might be something I'd be interested in. I do really like Forbidden Romance. It is a very good genre, and I do find me gravitating toward that genre very often. The next trope I have is Possessive Alpha Male. I haven't read that many of this type of trope. Maybe I have, but I wouldn't categorize it as that. Because if you have a like possessive alpha male, usually it's tied to like Mafia or like the whole touch her and you die type thing. I feel like that could be touched on in many different genres. So I don't have anything specifically that I know of in this trope. Like that is the trope of that book. But there are 4 books that ChatGPT listed, and you have Twist Me by Anna Zaires, Sparrow by LJ Shen, Ruthless Night by A. Zavarelli, and The Maddest Oblivion. The Maddest Obsession by Danielle. I have not read any of them. I've not read any of those authors either, so I don't know anything about it, but this could be something I dive into. I don't know, like I said, any books that are tied to just that genre and how it's different than like a Mafia or a Touch Her and You Die or anything like that, but it could be something that I would be looking into in the future. The next one is revenge romance, and I do like this trope. This is something that I have read about in the past, but it's not something I like focus on. It's not something that I'm like, that is the book that I want to read because that's the trope I want to read. But if it does have the revenge like plot line in it, along with being like a mafia romance or something like that, it is something that I do enjoy reading. And ChatGPT has 4 books again. You have Vicious by LJ Shen, which I feel like that was already identified before. Okay. Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman, which I do have that book downloaded on my Kindle. I do remember downloading that. I don't know if it's still currently downloaded because I did have to kind of get rid of some books because you had that like limit of Kindle Unlimited books that you can have on your Kindle. And I don't know if it's still there, but I know I did download this book because I wanted to read it because it was referred back to in a different YouTube video. But I might not have it right now, but I will be reading it. Now that it's on here again, it is something that's going to be bumped to the top of my list very soon. And then we have The Kiss Thief by LJ Shen and When Heroes Fall by Gianna Darling. Never read either one of those. The next trope is Morally Gray. And I feel like if you have a dark romance, like your MMC is morally gray. I don't think you can read dark romance and not have a morally gray character. Typically it's the MMC. It could be the FMC in some instances. But I feel like if you have a dark romance, you're going to have a morally gray character. I just feel like that's a standard. So I feel like that's something that's going to be read in every single book. And it is definitely one of the big appeals for reading dark romance is for me at least, I really, really, really enjoy morally gray MMCs specifically. So the books that ChatGPT gave me was Haunting Adeline by H.G. Carlton. I have read The Cat and Mouse Duet. I do want to do a reread of that. I actually have me reading my very first dark romance, which was Haunting Adeline. I have that on my channel. I'll try to link it down below or in the cards. I did really enjoy it, except for there was a piece that I did not like in that book. But it was, I'm going to go back and do a view of that video because I remember reading that book for the first time, ended up being my first dark romance. And it probably should not have been my first dark romance, to be honest, because it was an experience. But I did read it. I do like it. And I do want to do a reread of it to see if I like it even more now that I've been exposed to dark romance. The Ritual by Shantel Tessier. Again, I've already read that. That's book 1 of the Lord series. And I do want to continue the series because I've liked so far all of them. And I cannot wait to get to, I think it's Hayden. I think that's the MMC. I don't remember what book number that is. But I know Hayden is a really popular Lord's character. And I want to eventually get to his book because I'm very intrigued. And then we have Sparrow by LJ Shen. I haven't read that one. And then Hooked by Emily McIntyre, which is part of the Never Ever series. And I did read that one. I think I actually have a video of me like reading it and my thoughts on that book. It's a retelling of the Peter Pan story. And then that's going to be the books that are listed as the morally gray character, which again, I think it's in every single book, honestly. Next one is Arranged Marriage. This one I think is good for, even if it's not dark romance, you can have an arranged marriage in a regular romance. But dark romances, I feel like it's more of an arranged marriage tied to like a mafia. It's like you have to get the 2 mafia families to like come together. And the way that they did that is to have an arranged marriage between both of the mafia like families. And that's just one of the instances that come to mind when it comes to arranged marriage. And I do really like that one. So the books that ChatGPT had was The Kiss Thief by LJ Shen. Again, I think that was referred to before. I think I'm definitely going to, if any of these books are listed more than once, I'm going to put it to the top of my list because if it's going to hit more than one trope, I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy that book. But I could be wrong. Those are going to be the books that I'm going to try to read in the future. Bound by Honor by Cora Riley, which is part of the Born in Blood Mafia Chronicles. I have read, I believe, a Cora Riley book before. I don't remember what it was, but I have her name has come out quite a few times in other YouTubers, and so I do want to dive into some of her books. Mafia Mistress. Cannot read. Mafia Mistress by Mila Finelli. Like I said, I feel like if you have an arranged marriage, it's going to be tied to a mafia romance, and that one's called Mafia Mistress. Then the last one is The Confidence of Wildflowers by Miclea Smeltzer. I don't, is that a dark romance? Like, if I hear The Confidence of Wildflowers, I feel like that's just a regular romance. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's definitely not something that sounds like it would be a dark romance type book. So maybe ChatGPT lied to me on that one, but maybe not. Next one is Stalker Romance. Again, love me some stalker romance. That is, if you think of stalker romance, I feel like everyone automatically goes to Cat and Mouse. It's just a really popular stalker romance. And Zaide Meadows is the epitome when it comes to stalkers, in my mind at least. And the top book that's under stalker romance is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. And I like stalker romances. They are usually a really good time. I will definitely gravitate toward stalker romances because I've had a very good experience when it comes to that type of book trope. So, Haunting Adeline, then You by Caroline Kemps. Is You the same thing as the TV show? Is that TV show based on that book? If so, that could be something that I decide I want to dive into as well. I've not watched the movie. I think it's called You. Is it called You? I'll try to put it somewhere on the screen, what I'm thinking of. But I have not read that TV show. I have not watched that TV show. And yeah, maybe I will if it's tied to a stalker romance that's actually part of a book. And then the last one is Loving Mr. Daniels by Brittany C. Cherry. ChatGPT says, not exactly stalker, but emotionally intense. I feel like ChatGPT is not giving me everything I want, but that's okay. And then the last book trope that is really popular for dark romances is psychological manipulation or gaslighting. And I feel like that is a true statement. I feel like gaslighting and psychological manipulation isn't really popular in regular contemporary romances because that would not really be a trope that authors would try to tie to just a regular romance. And I feel like that could also be part of the fantasy, like a romantasy type book. But I definitely feel like psychological manipulation and gaslighting is definitely a dark romance type trope. And I don't remember reading anything tied to gaslighting, but maybe I have, but I can't remember. But ChatGPT had Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. The name sounds familiar, but I don't think I've ever read anything by Pam Godwin before. Comfort Food by Kitty Thomas. I haven't read that one or know anything about Kitty Thomas. The Wild by Cabe Webster. I don't know that one either. And then the last one I have read, and that is the Mindfuck series. That's by St. Abbey. That one is the FMC. Normal dark romances are typically a MMC is the morally gray character, but in the Mindfuck series, it is the FMC. And it is, if you have not read that book, it is so good. It's on Kindle Unlimited. There's 5 like mini books on KU, but you read them together as an overarching book, and it is so good. I did go ahead and buy the original cover of that physical book, and then I do want to also buy the new cover that just got released this year because it is so good. It is definitely a book that I'm going to be doing a reread on, and I absolutely adore it. It was such a good book. So good. Oh my goodness, it was great. I don't remember the gaslighting piece was part of that, but the psychological manipulation, yes, it kind of was. So it was good. And with that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, make sure you do so. And then down in the comments, leave me a comment of what books of this list that I have provided, what books have you read, and what are your thoughts on them? Do I need to read any of those books? Specifically the books that I mentioned that I have not read. If I should, drop me a comment down below. Let me know so I can bump it to the top of my list. So with that is going to be it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.